Leading human rights campaigner Irene Fernandez died this week at the age of 67. Dr. Fernandez was a champion of the oppressed in Malaysia. She campaigned tirelessly for better treatment of foreign migrant workers, mainly from Indonesia and the Philippines. She described their working conditions as modern-day slavery. And when she detailed abuses against them, including rape and beatings, the Malaysian government charged her with maliciously publishing false news. After a 7-year-long trial, she was cleared of all charges. FaidzalMohtar has this tribute to her. Irene Fernandez was a champion of the marginalised, whether they were migrants, refugees, labourers or sex workers from Bangladesh, the Philippines or Indonesia. She set up an NGO to fight for their rights called Tenaga Nita.
Tenaga Nita means women's force. We are a force that does not use guns or goons to make our point or dominate others. We are a force that conscientizes, builds and empowers the oppressed communities, in particular women and migrant workers, by creating spaces and opportunities for expression, for sharing, and for taking actions to protect and claim rights. Where they are invisible, we become a voice for them. Where they are discriminated, we make them our equals.
Throughout her life, she spoke and worked for the voiceless and helpless. When she was laid to rest at the age of 67, hundreds came to her home to pay their respect.
Many will feel her absence, but those who worked with her and those who, for example, those in Tenaga Nita and the many other organizations she's been connected to, the network she's part of, I think Irene would just say to all of us that we have to carry on.
She taught us to be human rights defender with care, and she never compromised with the principle to protect the rights of migrant workers, women, and other marginalized community. That's why she is. She never compromised with the principle of human rights.
The funeral mass for her was held at the Church of Divine Mercy in Shah Alam and was celebrated by 12 priests and led by 2 archbishops. Her parents were migrants, and she understood from an early age what it was like to be underprivileged.
She's very outspoken, fiery, passionate, committed to the women's rights issues very strongly.
She achieved her greatest prominence in 1995 when she interviewed more than 300 migrant workers being detained by the government. They told her of rapes, beatings and inadequate food, water and medical care. When she gave the findings to the press, the government charged her with maliciously publishing false news.
I think Tenaga Nita hits the global scene was because of her outspokenness with regards to the migrant report, where she actually exposed death and abuses in jail against migrant workers. I think that was a significant report, and that actually captured the global attention.
Her criminal trial dragged on for 7 years, one of the longest in Malaysian history. After a long battle in the courts, she was acquitted in 2008.
That's one thing you can say about Irene. You couldn't stop her by threatening her, and I think that's one thing the UMNO Barisan National Government learnt in '96. They thought by threatening her with a jail sentence, they could get her to say that they could get her to withdraw her memorandum, or say it wasn't true or she didn't have facts. No, Irene is not that sort of person. Irene said, I have the facts. These are serious human rights violations, and if I have to go to jail for saying it, I will go to jail. So that's Irene Fernandez.
She helped migrants in whatever way she could.
Actually, there are 50 of them, migrant workers, Irene started a project with them in Bangladesh on the livelihood. So they had little savings. With the savings, they bought piece of land. They started a supermarket now in Bangladesh. Okay, that was the initiative by Tanaganita and Irene Fernandez. And Irene also visited their community in Kumilla in Bangladesh, one of the small community, where the women, the spouse of migrant and migrant themselves started their own livelihood in Bangladesh.
Friends, family and supporters thronged to her home as they paid their respects for a woman who stuck up for what she believed in and fought for justice.
I think that it's people like Irene who we should remember and teach history about people like Irene Fernandez who did so much for the country. These are the heroes of Malaysia. This is what our kids should be learning about. So I hope that the memory of Irene can be put into documentaries or videos and taught to the kids about what standing up for human rights is all about.